Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic and I have been spending all of 2024 ranking my 366 favorite video games of all time in a daily countdown series. Today I'm talking about Pokemon Gold and Silver. Now, this is not the ranking video for Pokemon Gold and Silver. That can be found in the description down below. What this is a companion video with all of the mainline Pokemon games. I've been doing a separate video where I rank just the new Pokemon from that generation. There's 100 new Pokemon that were added in Gen 2, and I really like the new Pokemon in Gen 2. It's a very good generation. I'm not gonna say I love them all. You'll see. We'll get to that. Actually, I guess right now. Let's hop into it. So the worst one is definitely Smoochum at number 100. If you watched my video for Pokemon Red and Blue and you watched the ranking of the Pokemon themselves for that, you know I really don't like Jynx. I think that Jynx is the worst Pokemon ever made. So this is the baby form of Jynx, and I mean it's better, I guess, but not like a lot. I have a lot of problems with Smoochum. For starters, it kind of looks like, and I get that it's a baby, but it kind of looks like it's wearing a diaper. I don't like that on a Pokemon, which should be, animals, essentially. Two, its whole thing is about trying to convince you to kiss it, which being a literal child Pokemon is, Japan, I don't like that. Yeah, moving on. Number 99 is Remoraid. I kind of don't like when Pokemon are just a fish, and admittedly, this one is a goofy, kind of funny looking fish, but Remoraid is just, to me, very boring and forgettable. You can kind of see though in the background of this art some other Pokemon that makes cool use of Remoraid, and I'll talk about that at some point. Number 98 is Pupitar. So this may come as a little bit of a surprise. It's a very popular evolution line, but I think that Pupitar itself is not that interesting. I generally don't love most of the larva sort of Pokemon. I guess that's not larva, but like Metapod, Kakuna, Cascoon, those kinds of Pokemon, they're all very samey to me. So Pupitar is just still samey. I do like the kind of mask look to its face, but it's eh. I think it's eh. Forretress. So this is one of the new Steel Pokemon, first generation with Steel Pokemon, and Forretress has a very cool name that I feel like the Pokemon itself does not embody well. I think they could have made a more almost building looking design with this, going off the idea of a fortress, right? It has really high defenses, and I get that, and it works well mechanically in that respect, but the design just doesn't do it for me. Igglybuff, another baby Pokemon. I don't really have anything against Igglybuff, other than there's just nothing going on. It's got a little swirl, I guess. Yeah, there's nothing really to talk about with Igglybuff. To me, this is kind of pure neutral. Tyrogue. So I really like the whole evolution line here with Tyrogue, but Tyrogue I feel like just does not, I don't know, it kind of annoys me, like a small kid should annoy me, I guess. I mean, that's, I realize it's a baby Pokemon and that's kind of the idea, but it doesn't change that it's annoying. Granbull. So this to me is like a weird thing where I love dogs. And this is a dog Pokemon, but not. And that is kind of in a weird sort of middle ground that I don't especially love. I love Granbull's head. I don't love Granbull's body. So for that, it's ranking poorly. Kingdra. So this is one of the things that Gen 2 did that was pretty cool, was they created new evolutions for some of the Pokemon in Gen 1. And Kingdra is pretty interesting, being another evolution furthering Horsea and Seadra, this time making it also a dragon type instead of just water, which is really cool that it turns into a dragon. The problem is that visually, I think it's just worse than Seadra. I don't actually like the appearance of Kingdra at all. So while the typing is very cool, I think it's a strict downgrade in every other sense. Ariados. So I hate bugs. I'm aware that arachnids are not bugs, but as far as Pokemon is concerned, they're bugs. And you know what? They're creepy, they're crawly, they've got lots of legs. Admittedly, thankfully, an acceptable amount of eyes on Ariados. Although I don't like the mandibles, that still also makes me uncomfortable. And yeah, I don't like bugs. I don't like spiders. Yeah, that's it. And also, if I saw a spider that had this coloration pattern on it in real life, I would burn the building down. I'd be like, oh yeah, that thing's gonna kill everybody. Let's burn it down. Spinarak. So I do like Spinarak a little more than Ariados because it's actually kind of cute. Obviously, this is most of the art here is Pokemon TCG art, and they've got a lot of different stylistic choices they've made over the many years of making that game, 25 years of the TCG, right? And so some of them are like, I can't believe this made it into a professional product, but they're neat in their own way. And so Spinarak here is very cute. Still got the mandibles I don't love. It's still a spider, but like, it is a cute spider. Larvitar. So Larvitar, definitely way better than Pupitar. It actually is like a thing with like arms and legs and a face and doing stuff and not boring. I do like Larvitar. We are firmly now in Pokemon that I like for this generation. We got there pretty fast. Like I said, it's a good generation. Skiploom. So normally different color palette. This is the shiny one, but look at that big smiley face. So I like this Pokemon. It's friend shaped, you know, it's round. It's got big floppy ears. You can hold it at the middle. The ears flop over. It probably smells really good. And you can like toss it in the air and it'll float. And yeah, Skiploom. Ledyba. So generally don't like bugs, as discussed. Ledyba is at least cute about it, very cute about it, and but still kind of it's a bug, but a better bug. If I don't want to touch a Ledyba, but I'll look at a Ledyba, you know, like I don't want to touch a Carapace, but it's cute. I'll give it that. Wooper. So Wooper is silly and dumb and doesn't have arms and has a big dumb face and I mean, water ground is actually, or no, it's not ground. That's Paldean Wooper. I'm combining stuff. There's too many of these things. But it is water type, and but like a fun water type. I can't pronounce the name of the animal this is based on. I should be able to. It's got a lot of letters. There's an X. They're very cool. They're very cute animals, and Wooper is no different. Hoppip. So Skiploom, this evolves into Skiploom. I like Hoppip a little more just because I like the implication in the world and stuff that they just they're not heavy enough to kind of control their own bodies, and they just kind of float away in the wind half the time. And they're like, oh, here I go. Don't know where I'm going. Can't control that. But hey, whatever. Just kind of going with the flow, making the best of their situation. Maybe we should all be a little more like Hoppip. Xatu. So this is a pretty neat design. I like the psychic bird sort of thing going on. I like how the wings come back together to sort of make a like ceremonial outfit, I suppose, for lack of a better word. I really like how even the design of the Pokemon looks like Egyptian hieroglyphics a little bit with the weird depth perception appearance of it. This is not just the art here, by the way, on this card. That is what Xatu looks like, and that's pretty fun. Quillfish. So I love the in Finding Nemo. There is a fish that's a blowfish character, and when they get stressed, they just balloon, right? and that's always been hilarious to me. And now there is a Pokemon with Qwilfish that gets to experience that same thing, and just look at that face. I think it gets the anxiety over it, and that's always funny to me. Donphan, my favorite animal in real life is elephants. So Donphan is great. I love that it'll roll around. I love the trunk, the way it works with and the big floppy ears, kind of Dumbo-esque. It's a lot of fun. But that being said, it is kind of just like an elephant, right? And as much as I love elephants, I don't know that we need to be doing just an elephant in this fantasy world. I also have some big thoughts on Phanpy that we'll get to later, and my opinion on Phanpy kind of drags Donphan down a bit because I like Phanpy much more. Marill, this is one of the earlier Pokemon that just does not seem rooted in any kind of actual animal. There's been others, of course, and I mean, like, obviously, like Charizard, Dragonite, they're dragons, right? That's not a real animal, but it's rooted in history and art and things. Whereas Marill feels very original and unique and different. I like the zigzag on the tail. I like the little bouncy ball of the tail itself, the big round ears, the big round French-shaped body. Marill is great. Yanma, Dragonfly. That's actually just kind of cool. Similarly to like butterflies, I don't want to touch a dragonfly, but I will happily admire a dragonfly. They are very cool as far as bug type things go, and Yanma is very cool as far as bug type Pokemon go. Now you might think, number 81 out of 100, that's very cool as far as bug type Pokemon go. I don't like bugs, okay? I mean, that's not going to change. Stantler. So this, I actually do kind of feel like Stantler should be more deer-like, which is kind of funny that, I'm like, I don't like when they're just like a Pokemon. The face is a little weird to me, but I like the extra added elements of the antlers a lot. I like that it can do some fun things with that. It actually has some interesting attacks that you wouldn't think of from just a deer, and Stantler is neat. It has a great name. Quagsire. I love this dumb little guy. So he's a dumb guy, and he's big, and it's big enough that it could actually give you a hug, and its mouth is way too big for its body. And I want to own one. I want to pet one, and love it and cherish it forever. Sinchow. So I love the like lanternfish. I don't actually remember. Is it just called a lanternfish? I don't remember. But in real life, the actual fish that has, the light up deep in the dark ocean kind of thing. And so taking that, which is kind of a terrifying fish, and making it cute is phenomenal. The idea that we take this thing that in real life is very scary and very dangerous and going, no, it's cute now, is great, and one of the things I love about Pokemon. Ledian. So I didn't like Ledibod that much. I like Ledian much more, which is funny. Normally, I dislike when Pokemon are especially humanoid. Now, obviously, this isn't especially humanoid. Like, it is bipedal, but it has extra arms. It's got lots of things that are not, there's no fingers, right? So the idea of Ledian taking a bug Pokemon and making it a little less buggy and a little more kind of its own character is good. That's a plus. The other thing about Ledian, and I can't explain this, is I look at Ledian and I just go, that's a Power Ranger. Ledian is a Power Ranger. And I don't know why, but it is. Cleffa. So this is the baby Pokemon that evolves into Clefairy. And if you watch the Red and Blue ranking video, I like Clefairy and Clefable quite a bit. I love the moon aesthetic, and I actually have grown to like them even more beyond their original generations because I like the fairy typing so much, and they seem so perfect for it. And Cleffa evolves from, I think it's from happiness, which is nice. I want them to be happy. Dunsparce. So the thing about Dunsparce, I did not care much about Dunsparce originally, but then in The newest games in Scarlet and Violet, they created randomly an evolution for Dunsparce, which is the dumbest evolution ever made in like all of the best ways. And so that has allowed me to reevaluate Dunsparce and realize just how great and just utterly stupid this Pokemon is. It might have a lower IQ than, say, Kakuna. I think that Dunsparce might be the dumbest, least intelligent Pokemon ever, and that's very much okay with me. Natu. So, Xatu, has a lot of, this evolves into Xatu. Has a lot of great things that I talked about, but I really like when a Pokemon is just like a head with limbs. And Natu is definitely a head with limbs. And it still keeps the like hieroglyphics sort of element to the evolution line, which is fantastic. Mareep. So Electric Sheep is great. I love Electric Sheep. I love that it gets nuzzle and like it just nuzzles up to you. Oh, it's electric. Hey, I'm paralyzed, but that's okay. It's Mareep and it's cute, and it didn't really mean it. It's just it's a dumb little sheep and it didn't know any better. It's just trying to cuddle, and yeah, Mareep is good. Ferret. So obviously this is a ferret. This just is a ferret, and that's great. There is a mini game in Pokemon Stadium 2 where you are ferrets running around in the grass trying to bounce a ball by basically sticking your head up, and if you're under it, the ball will bounce up, but you want to block it and push it towards other goals. And that is really great because it's just showcasing it just running around as a long furry noodle. And ferrets are actually great animals. I remember one time we were walking our dog, and this was when we were still living in apartments, and as we were walking, one of the people in one of the other apartments left their apartment building, and they had a ferret on a harness and a leash. They were taking their pet ferret for a walk, which I had never seen before, and of course our dog had never seen a ferret before. And so they allowed our dog to meet their ferret, and it was all very great. And that catapulted ferrets way higher on my ranking of real life animals. Not that I have a set ranking other than I guess elephants are first and red pandas are second. But yeah, and I guess dogs are probably third. But I can't legally own an elephant or a red panda. What a disappointment that is. But yeah, ferrets are great. Okay, apologies for the sudden cut that happened. I had a serious microphone issue that I had to remedy, and I was trying to do this all in one take. Anyways, Heracross. So I very much like Pinsir in the first generation. It's kind of interesting and different, but Heracross feels like that. Obviously, they're not evolutions to each other, but they are both kind of hard carapace, beetle-like Pokemon, which again, don't like bugs. But the thing about Heracross that's interesting is it doesn't look like it would be buggy to the touch. It's like smooth, like almost like armor plating, like actually like armor. I don't know how to explain it. And it does have a goofy, cute, fun face, and it's a cute, nice color. There's a lot of things, little things I like about Heracross a lot more. And I love how there is a Heracross in the TCG that has an ability that, I forget the name, but the idea, thematically, it's about like flipping the other card up. And so I had a deck that was it was really bad, but basically Heracross is in there just to do that. In the event that my opponent didn't have a bench, then I would like hard search for Heracross and like double Colress energy on it, and then just flip a coin, and if I 50-50 chance I win the game on the spot, no matter what your starting Pokemon is. And that was really fun and kind of helped boost Heracross a little for me. Octillery. So Octillery I really like. So Octopus, already cool animals. but making it an artillery octopus. It's in the name, it's in the design. It's got like a big cannon mouth. Octillery is a lot of fun. Most of the sea Pokemon, like water, ocean sort of stuff, for the most part in Gen 1, I thought was kind of uninspired. So Octillery being fairly creative and cool is a nice addition to the franchise right off the bat in Gen 2. So Flaffy, this is what Mareep evolves into, and Mareep is just like, oh, it's too dumb to know any better. It nuzzled against you, just trying to cuddle, and it paralyzed. Flaffy did it. Flaffy saw you and was like, I'm gonna paralyze that person. Yeah, I'm gonna watch this. It'll be funny. And yeah, they start being able to walk on two legs and do some mischievous, funny stuff. Gligar. So Gligar is a super cool design, is like a flying scorpion sort of thing, which is just great. I really like Gligar as far as being a unique, creative design. I don't actually care about using the Pokemon in the video games or ever in the TCG. It's just never been my thing, but I do like the design of Gligar quite a lot. So Swinub, this is an ice Pokemon, which in Gen 1 was one of the least represented types. It's still historically one of the least represented types, but it's a swine, and it's just a little guy, and it likes the snow, and it'll cuddle with you, and you can hold it and love it and cherish it forever. All right, Bayleaf. So this is the first part of a starter line in here. It's not like I dislike Bayleaf. I just think that a lot of middle evolutions in the starter lines kind of just like they exist to bridge the gap. It feels like they made the first kind, like the actual starter, and then they made what it is at the end, and then they were like, well, let's find something in the middle, rather than actually having a coherent thought process of how to get there the whole way through with like, well, this is a really inspired middle design that we want to do, and then what else can we, Bayleaf to me kind of exemplifies that a little bit. It's just like, oh, well, I can see how it's Chikorita, I can see how it's Meganium, I see how they got there, but it serves its purpose, which I do really like Chikorita and Meganium. I like all the starters, just like most generations. So Bayleaf, while not crazy, not actually that bad either, all things considered. Houndour. So this is a little dark fire dog, which is a great sentence, and they're really cute. They're much more puppy-ish. It's hard to get a sense of scale here, but especially in the TV shows and in some of the later games, like the 3D games, you get to see how they're very puppy, and I really like Houndour a lot. There's a lot of fun stuff with some Houndour, like the Pichu and Pichu shorts. There's a lot of things with Houndour there that are super duper cute and a lot of fun. Porygon 2. So, Porygon, digital made-up Pokemon. I mean, did you know Pokemon are made up? But digital made-up Pokemon, Porygon, very, very angular, very, I don't know, like, kind of ugly in some ways, whereas Porygon 2 was like, but it is the future, and in the future everything is round because we have computers that can do that now. And so then they way overdid it, which is in itself kind of funny that they overcommitted to the round bit and created Porygon 2, which is also kind of ugly and dumb, but in a very different way. Pineco. I just love that there is a Pokemon that is a pine cone. That's it. That's all. I don't even know that this thing has a mouth, to be honest. I don't remember ever seeing it open one. But just being a pine cone is very funny for a Pokemon. I love when Pokemon are just objects. So I know that's a hot take. I actually like Klefki. But Pineco is very funny to me, and I'm a big fan. Sentret. So this is what Furret evolves into, and It's well, yesterday I did Super Mario Bros. 3, and that had Tanuki suit, that has the flying raccoon, and Sentra is right there. And yeah, man, Sentra is so great. And the idea that it's like, it's very vigilant, it's very, you know, it's the Sentry. It's great. Snubbull. So I talked about liking Granbull's face, but not liking its body. Well, Snubbull takes all of the things I like about Granbull's face and puts it on an adorable little body. I kind of like that it's like wearing a dress, almost, despite, you know, the traditionally, we'll say, not as cute, culturally, Pitbull, or not Pitbull, a Bulldog, there we go, Bulldog, that's the word I was looking for, Bulldog face. But I think Bulldogs are adorable. I love all of the jowls and they're great. Croconaw. So there's a lot of things to like about Croconaw. One, this is a crocodile that stands on its hind legs. Talk about some scary stuff. Two, it's wearing a like, I'm blanking on the name of this clothing, but Fred Flintstone. I'm going to say that this is Fred Flintstone as a Pokemon, and it shoots water, and that is why I like Croconaw. Mantine. So with Remoraid, I talked about, you can kind of see in the background another Pokemon that I was going to talk about. Here it is! I love when there is larger world building to the Pokemon. Mantine and Remoraid, they're not... so they are a thing, but they behave symbiotically. They don't necessarily care about each other and things, and this happens in real life, marine life as well. So the idea is that the Mantine hide from predators, or sorry, the Remoraid hide from predators underneath the Mantine, and they eat little scraps and bits and things that go by. And so, but in Pokemon, Mantine, whatever it is, they get to do some fun stuff with the Remoraid as well, kind of shooting them like submarine missiles, which is hilarious. So Aipom, this is a monkey with a hand on its tail, and that's kind of all it is. And and it's got like obviously like a goofy grin, and you know, thankfully not actually other hands. I mean, it's got arms, but it's not like fingers. I still don't like when Pokemon have I shouldn't say excessive, but human-like amount of fingers, and so just having them on the tail allows for a lot of fun things with Aipom. Ah, there we go, wrong direction. Azumarill. So Marill evolves into Azumarill from Happiness, which is great, and I love the like egg-shaped body. Plus the markings on Azumarill, moving Marill's white markings from its whole belly down to just like the bottom with some other spots is a fun way to change that. The ears become longer, the body is taller, but it's still round. That's the important thing. It's still round, and Azumarill is a lot of fun for that. Corsola. So I really like Corsola. I like the idea of Pokemon being coral reefs. In Pokemon Sword and Shield, I talked a lot about Galarian Corsola and in the evolution it gains from that game, and how kind of represents shifts in how we are studying and in real life studying and understanding coral reefs. And of course, coral reefs are dying out. It's a huge problem. And so bleaching it and becoming a ghost type Pokemon there is really interesting. Whereas with just Corsola here, it gets to stay happy and alive and colorful and not dead. And I don't have to worry about, you know, terrible things in the world. Politoed. So this is a new evolution, but an alternate evolution to Poliwhirl. Instead of becoming Poliwrath, you can become Politoed, which is very fun. They did a couple of that. There's another one that you'll see later. But I really like frogs. They're cute little guys. and I really like the changes that they made to make it obviously a different branch, but at the same time you can see the elements where they're the same. I like the swirl on the belly still being there. Certain things about like it'll fight you, but a little more water, a little less fighting, and so it's interesting to see that branch. Crobat is a new evolution beyond Golbat, and way cooler. I liked that Golbat was like big dumb body, but Crobat is like, this is what a final evolution should be for this kind of thing. I like that it basically has sort of 4 wings, but not quite. I like the more agile, sleek design, and it's gonna mess you up. And it's just, Crobat is very good. I like basically all of the new evolutions that they added to the Gen 1 Pokemon for Gen 2, and Crobat is a great example of that. Jumpluff. So this is the end of Hoppip's line, and interestingly enough, so remember, well, actually I shouldn't say remember, you may not have watched the video yet. So in the video for the actual ranking for this game, I talked about how Pokemon Red and Blue, Timeless, it's the first one, but, and I did play Red and Blue before playing Gold and Silver, but I was 4 years old when Red and Blue came out. I was 6 years old when Gold and Silver came out. Gold and Silver came out, I switched to playing those. I beat that before I beat Red and Blue. That also coincides with, I probably would have been getting, I played the Pokemon TCG, but mostly I was handed a deck and I played, right? I wasn't building my own decks. So when it came out. So when the Neo, I always get them backwards, Destiny, Genesis, whichever one it was that would have had Jumpluff in it. That was the first time that I was buying my own packs and starting to build my own decks. Jumpluff was the first holographic card I opened. And so I was so excited about opening my own holographic card and trying to build my own deck around Jumpluff. And so that's a lot of where my like for Jumpluff comes from. Overall, the design, actually, I still like Hoppip's design more than Jumpluff. But that experience of, for the first time, opening my own holographic Pokemon card and building a deck with it is so memorable to me. It's great, and I will always like Jumpluff for it. Magby. So this is a baby Pokemon for Magmar. I like Magmar quite a lot, and then there's another one later that I consider these to be related. And so Magby is just a cute little dude. I like his hair. And although this one does feel a little more like a Digimon to me than most Pokemon, so that's one of the reasons I don't rank it as highly as the other Pokemon I alluded to that we'll get to in a while. But Magby is pretty good. Don't get me wrong, I like Digimon. I actually like Digimon quite a lot, but I want my Pokemon to feel like Pokemon, you know? You are not a Piloswine. My bad. I made the Remoraid slide and then I copied it a million times. I didn't realize this until right now this is going to happen. Piloswine is the evolution of Swinub. You can look up what it looks like if you want to, but basically it's Swinub is just like a little guy covered in fur and likes the snow, and Piloswine is just a big guy that it looks like, oh man. So Star Wars. No, that's not a good example. So it's basically just a big brown furry thing, and I like that it is just big and dumb and a brown furry thing that loves the snow, and yeah, it's just, I don't know why I like it. I just do. Slugma. So this is very cool. It is a lava snail, obviously slug, but and so I really like that idea of taking an animal that can't be made out of this thing in real life and going, but what if it could? And Slugma is very fun for that. Yeah, Slugma's great. I don't know, I could probably pet it, like I think about the Rapidash episode in in the TV show where, you know, Ash pets Rapidash after it trusts him and it doesn't light him on fire. So you could probably pet a Slugma, but I feel like the stakes are a little higher, you know? Shuckle. So there's many reasons to love Shuckle. One, the name. Shuckle is such a great name. It's fun to say. Say it with me. Shuckle. Yeah, isn't that good? So the other thing is I really like that when it's like scared, it just retreats into its shell, but it has like a million holes, and it's like just this weird, like I don't actually know what the inside of a Shuckle looks like. I don't want to know what the inside of a Shuckle looks like. Is it like just a big gooey blob that's able to come out? And don't tell me. But Shuckle is very unique and very fun. Sunkern. So I talked about Pineco. I like it because it's a pine cone that is a Pokemon. This is a sunflower kernel seed thing, and it just has a face, and what a face it has. And yeah, that's all it is, and that is a-okay with me. Ursaring. So this is a big bear, and it's doing big bear things, and I like the, you know, Ursa with the bear naming, but then also just it's actually in some ways a great name and a terrible name, because Ursa is like you know, they didn't just call it Bear Ring, so they at least did something cool with the Ursa stuff, like Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. And there's actually some nighttime elements to Ursaring that it cares about, which ties into the constellations, which is a fun thing about it. But the ring part is just it has a circle on its stomach, and that's what makes it not just a bear. I don't know, that's just funny to me. Houndoom. So Houndour, little puppy, Houndoom, big doggo, and it has a lot of cool things going for it. It's far more a dark Pokemon, I think, in essence, than Houndour is, but it's still obviously a fire Pokemon. It breathes fire, it does fire stuff. It's very meant to be like kind of, I'm not gonna say hellish, but a little bit, like little bit of fire and brimstone, right? And it has you can't really see it in this picture very well, but the horns and other parts on it are supposed to look like kind of like a skull, and that's pretty cool. All right, Chikorita, the first actual starter itself. So I do like Chikorita, but I just like the other ones more. So the big leaf on its head is great. I like the like necklace of just green stuff. I don't even know what that's actually supposed to be, but it's a necklace. You know, Chikorita blings out a little bit, and it's cute, and it's big leaf. Blissey. So this is an evolution of Chansey that gets added in Gen 2, and to me, Blissey is like the quintessential tanky Pokemon. I know there are others, certainly, especially now with later generations, but just the idea that it has very high defense stats while also having a lot of self-healing abilities, you know, with Blissey and Chansey being related to the Pokemon centers and Nurse Joy, and lots of healing and support abilities. So it can be a big tanky support in 2v2, or it can just be, if you want something that's really hard to kill but actually can hit fairly hard physically, it does that solo quite well too. And I like that it evolves from Happiness, which again, I really like when there's alternate forms of making Pokemon evolve, and Blissey is one of the better continuations from Gen 1 for sure. And just the name Bliss, it already implies how you evolve it, and that's some great design. Skarmory. So Steel Pokemon, again, one of the big additions for this generation, and Skarmory is just cool. Like, that's it. I feel like Skarmory is like, they saw some of the success from Yu-Gi-Oh, and they were like, we have to make a Yu-Gi-Oh Pokemon, and this is what they came up with, and I'm okay with that. That's totally, if Game Freak ever admits that's what they did, no complaint from me. Sunflora. So Sunkern evolves into Sunflora, and it's just, I like sunflowers. I remember when this game came out, my mom had a garden and she was trying to grow a bunch of sunflowers there. And I didn't realize at the time how big sunflowers get. If you've never actually grown sunflowers or been to a place that has actual sunflowers growing, you might not realize actually how big they are. They're very large plants, and I think they're fascinating. It's so great how they manage to track the sun to maximize the sunlight throughout the day, and it's very obvious that they do it. Like you can actually kind of see them move if it's like a part of the day, like part of the year that has a shorter time of day as opposed to like in the middle of the summer. You can kind of actually see how they follow the sun. And so sunflowers are really cool. I like sunflowers. They're very pretty. They're very interesting plants. Sunflower seeds, tasty. But so Sunflora to me kind of does a lot of that, while also just being a very cute Pokemon and just kind of like it shouldn't be fighting. It should just be cute and happy, and it should make everyone else around it happy. And I dig that sometimes. Murkrow. I love crows. Another one of my favorite real-life animals. I love all the stories of people basically bribing crows to bring them things. Like if you've ever seen stories about like the crow starts giving them gifts, and then they're like, oh, but if they brought me money, and so I'm gonna give them the better bird seed and better rewards. So then they're like, oh, they want money, and so. I've never done this, but I've really thought about it, and it's something my wife and I talk about all the time. Whenever we see crows near our house, it's like, do we want to domesticate this crow? I kind of want to domesticate the crow. And so Murkrow, I really like that it's got like a wizard hat, and also the like bushy like the tail itself is almost like a not a ponytail, maybe like a top knot. I don't know enough about hair to know what I'm talking about here, but I hope I'm conveying what I'm saying. So Scizor is an evolution of Scyther, and very, very, very cool. I really like Scyther. Scizor is way cooler. There's a lot of things to love about Scizor. I love that the instead of just having the scythes, they are claws that themselves kind of look like faces. It's to me, Scizor is one of the coolest steel Pokemon as far as showcasing how something that's not steel becomes steel in a very neat way. Noctowl, another animal I very much like is owls. You know, they are the symbol of wisdom, of intelligence, of knowledge. I love nighttime related things. Obviously nocturnal, they're very cool. Noctowl is a super cool looking owl. I love the giant, I mean just enormous, comically large eyebrows. I like the pattern on the chest actually, and of course I would have not made this connection yet at the time, but it reminds me a little bit of an Animal Crossing. It reminds me of Blathers, which is my favorite character in Animal Crossing. I love Blathers, like looking like an Argyle sweater, and that's kind of right there. And I actually, you don't know this, but I wear a lot of sweaters in the wintertime, and man, Argyle is some good stuff. Feraligatr. So this is the first that we've gotten to of the final evolution of a starter line, and I do really like Feraligatr. The thing that to me makes it worse than the other starters is basically that it's almost like the inverse problem that Bayleef has, where it's not different enough from the other ones. It's just like, oh yeah, it's just that but bigger. It's just that but bigger. And it loses the things that made Croconaw really fun, like the Fred Flintstone kind of looking caveman sort of vibe. But of course, I mean, obviously I like Feraligatr a little more. I mean, it's a cool Pokemon. It's gonna mess you up, and that's a lot of fun. And I like the you can't see it in this art, but like the spines on the back and going up to the head, you can see that a lot clearer, and it's really good design as far as that goes. Elekid. So we talked about Magby and how there was going to be another one that I kind of consider related. I consider Electabuzz and Magmar to be related Pokemon because they don't have evolutions, but they're very focused on their types. But they both got baby Pokemon here. So Elekid, it has one thing going for it, and it should be obvious. The plugs. I mean, like, just the idea that it is a plug. I could take that little guy, could plug him in my wall. I don't know what he would do, but he would do something. And yeah, I love the design of the top of his head with the little plugs, and that's it. Fantastic. They need to do more of anything remotely like that. Blossom. So Blossom is another alternate evolution from Gloom. Instead of evolving into Vileplume, it can evolve into Blossom, which is very different, but again, you can kind of see it. I like the more floral thing to it rather than the bigger, more jungle-esque design of Vileplume. But also, like, the idea that it's like a hula dancer is very fun. I like the skirt, and they're just very cute. They're very fun. They're very different, and I think they complement well to the world, especially of Johto. Obviously, they're very at home if they ever show up in other places, like in the Alolan region. But yeah, it's just fun and different, and I think a lot of Gen 2 was just trying to be fun and different, and it was very successful at that. Ampharos. So finally, our Mareep has grown up to be big scary thing that is actually going to hurt you instead of just mess with you. And oh man, Ampharos is going to hurt the crap out of you. I really like Ampharos. I like the way the tail builds up to like the electric ball at the end. I like the general silhouette. I like I'm not going to call them arms, but they're not wings. I don't know what to call these things that it has sticking out of its body. And I don't know, the face is like, this is a Pokemon, where I feel like for a little while they weren't sure what they wanted their aesthetic to be for Pokemon to drive them separately from any of the other fictional monster type stuff that has existed before them or after them, whereas I think Ampharos nailed a lot of the things. The way that the feet aren't really feet, but they are. The way the arms and the other appendages are like, I don't know, like this is like they put dolphin fins on a land animal that charges electricity and glows bright at various points. That is a Pokemon, and I don't know how else to explain it. And Ampharos is just very good. So Sudowoodo is I forgot about this art that this is what I put on here. So Sudowoodo is in Gen 1, you run into a situation where you have to move a Snorlax and you have to get the Pokeflute. In Gen 2, you have the same kind of roadblock, but it's Sudowoodo, and the idea that this is a rock Pokemon is so not obvious, but at the same time, like, kind of great. And using the watering can to move it is a lot of fun. And I don't know, I love that it's a bonsai tree. Bonsai trees are very cool. If I had the patience, I would definitely have a bonsai tree that I would shape into something hopefully interesting, but I don't. And yeah, Sudowoodo allows me to live my vicarious bonsai tree dream. So Sneasel, this is obviously shiny Sneasel. They're not normally pink. It's a dark Pokemon, very black, very dark. So Sneasel is a lot of fun. Notably, this is the Pokemon I associate with the move False Swipe. I don't know if I should associate it with that. I don't remember if it's like the first one that had it, or maybe it's just the first one I got that had it. So maybe I'm like, hey, this is what does it, even though there's many things now. But False Swipe, if you don't know, is an attack in the video games that it doesn't hit especially hard, but it can't kill something. It'll always leave it with at least 1 HP. And you might think, well, that sounds dumb, but that's really great for catching Pokemon. If you have, for example, a Sneasel, as I did, this is what I did it with. that has false swipe, and you just level it up a whole bunch. Then you can just not have to worry about, like, if you're trying to complete your Pokedex or something, you can just go out and just whack something, hit it all the way down to 1, and then just throw an Ultra Ball or whatever you want to throw, and you're like almost always going to get it, and you just don't have to worry about it. And Sneasel, in addition to being a cool and fun design aesthetically, also has that going for it mechanically, as well as its mischievous nature. It has some attacks that like steal held items and stuff like that, which is a new mechanic in this game, and they really kind of nailed finding ways to interact with that in cool and fun attacks, largely showcased by Sneasel. Lanturn. So I talked about Sinchao and liking that they made the big scary lanternfish cute and little. So Lanturn is big scary lanternfish, but cute and big. So that's even just better, and it's obviously much closer to the design of the lanternfish. I mean, especially in name. Again, I think they're called lanternfish in real life, but I might not. That might not be correct. Don't correct me. And so, yeah, I just love that. I actually like that fish in real life. It's very cool. So having that in Pokemon, but in a way that is not terrifying, is great. Pichu. So obviously Pikachu is big and important and everything, and I have some thoughts about Pikachu and the whole evolution line that you'll hear if you watch my Red and Blue ranking video. But Pichu is a great baby Pokemon, phenomenal baby Pokemon, and the short I already mentioned in this video, the Pichu and Pichu Brothers short in whichever movie had that, is so great. I think it's the third movie. And I really like these little guys. I didn't care about Pichu initially. I was like, man, I can't wait for this to just be a Pikachu. But that short kind of flipped me on that, where I think I like Pichu more than I like Pikachu, and they're just very adorable. Steelix. So Onix evolves into Steelix, and similarly to how I just really like that non-steel Pokemon can become steel Pokemon, I think this one even makes way more sense. I mean, Onix is a rock Pokemon, and where else do you find metals but in the earth, right? And so this design is great. It's literally just, we played it in steel and give it big spikes and make its big head even bigger and header. Like, if that makes any sense as a sentence. I hope so. But yeah, Steelix is cool. Magcargo, I liked Slugma a lot, and you know, it's a slug, and now it is a snail, which is what I accidentally said with Slugma at first. So I love the big, giant, cracking apart, molten, like, snail shell. I love that. I love that it's still this big, goopy, I mean, now it's big. Slug is small. Magcargo is kind of big. Goopy, molten Pokemon, and it's a lot of fun. I actually, historically, I like fire Pokemon a lot. I've done a lot with a lot of different fire Pokemon through all of these games, and Magcargo is a very good fire Pokemon that I like a lot. Totodile. So if you watched my ranking video for all of the new Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, you know that I like a little guy with a mouth way too big for his little body. It's just a lot of mouth and a head, and then a little body, and he's gonna bite you, you know. And oh man, Totodile and Fuecoco, best friends. So yeah, they're a lot of fun. Totodile's great, very cute, very fun. The big chompy, yeah, do it up. Quilava. So if it hasn't been obvious, this was my starter for the first time that I played these games, and Quilava is pretty good. I like the as far as being a middle evolution line, it doesn't feel like they just found a way to bridge the gap. They feel like they actually had ideas for Quilava, and so I like the emergence of more flames on him. I like that the flames on on the starter have moved a little bit, and you know, as we'll see when we get to them. They start out a little small, but then they grow to other parts of the body, and then they kind of cover the whole back, and it's pretty great as far as that goes. There's narrative reasons for how the flames get bigger and smaller over time, and they're a lot of fun. And I don't know, I really like Quilava. It's good. Togepi. So Togepi is very big in the anime. Misty gets an egg and has to take care of it. But Gen 2 introduced breeding into the Pokemon games, and so the idea of Pokemon eggs were also new in Gen 2. So having a plot device that kind of introduced that through the show as well, and then having it be in the game is really fun. I like Togepi. Metronome, it learns Metronome, which not many things do, and that is just such a fun attack. If you don't know what Metronome does, it basically, when you use the attack Metronome, it then randomly picks any attack in the game and uses that. So it could be something really good, it could be something really terrible, but you never know, and it's just a lot of fun. Mostly Togepi is a bit higher up for its unique egg design, and also how it had an important role in the TV show. Cyndaquil. So obviously we just had Quilava. Now we've got Cyndaquil. So you can't really see it in this, but Cyndaquil does get fire spitting out of its back when it gets agitated and stuff. And this was the starter that I picked, as I mentioned. I like that it's just like a little anteater sort of looking dude, and it's cute. And the flames out of its back when it gets a little feisty, but it doesn't even have to be. Like looking at it like this, I think it's really cute. I generally like Pokemon that are more cute than they are like cool. Though don't get me wrong, cool Pokemon are cool, right? I mean, like it's in the word. But yeah, Cyndaquil is just very cute, very good. Espeon. So there were 2 new evolutions added into Gen 2, putting us up to, at the time, to 5 evolutions for Eevee, which is a pretty good number. They haven't added that many more since then. Still waiting for more. Please, oh my god. But Espeon, I like less than the other one here, which we'll get to, of course. But I do like it. Psychic is a good type. I like Psychic as a type. And Espeon does a bunch of cool stuff. It has a great name, being able to, you know, ESP, right? And yeah, it's fun that it evolves by how much by its happiness and how much it likes you in the daytime, whereas the other one's in the nighttime. And yeah, the shiny for Espeon is one of the best shinies ever made. It's all green instead of this like pinkish, purplish sort of hue. Tyranitar. So I didn't like Pupitar. I thought Larvitar was alright, but Tyranitar is very cool. You can see where Pupitar kind of like has that mask, right? But now that's kind of more in like the chest region, and then there's other elements that have expanded, and just layers upon layers upon layers expanding and plating for Tyranitar. It's this big, very strong Pokemon. It's a dark type, new typing in this generation. To me, it is really a face of the generation. The only reason it's, you know, number 23 and not, for example, top 10 is that it is a very much a pain to level. It takes forever to get to a Tyranitar, and to me, like I don't know if it's actually worth necessarily all of that investment. Like nowadays, definitely worth it then if you wanted a strong dark Pokemon, because there just weren't that many options yet, but I just don't want to invest the time anymore into a Tyranitar leveling it up. But I do have them on newer games, and I just generally play other stuff. But I do like Tyranitar. Teddiursa. So this is what evolves into Ursa Ring. I really like, again, it's like Ursa Minor, Ursa Major. If you're not familiar with those names for the constellations, it's basically Little Dipper, Big Dipper. Yeah, so at least those are part of it. And yeah, I love the just cute little teddy bear. I mean, Teddiursa. It's Teddy Bear. And I love the crescent moon on his forehead, that then helps turn into the big ring on Ursa Ursa Ring. It's in the name, an Ursa Ring. And yeah, I like Teddy Ursa way more than Ursa Ring, and it's great and adorable, and I would love it forever. Hoot Hoot. This is a very funny Hoot Hoot art. I just this one was funny, but anyways, so Hoot Hoot I like more than Noctowl because basically a reason. One, I mean, like, yeah, it's a cute little guy, but I actually kind of like the design of Noctowl a little more as being a cool owl. But Hoot Hoot is one of the best names for a Pokemon ever, which it shouldn't be. It's dumb. Pokemon say their own name, so this is just an owl making owl sounds. It is named after owl onomatopoeia, and to me, just the stupidity of that is terrific. I love Hoot Hoot. Meganium. So way better than Bayleaf, and definitely a bit better than Chikorita. Meganium is great. I mean, you can see it right there how happy that dude is. And I love the big flower. Like, the necklace has turned into this whole great big thing. I really like Meganium. It's also like really strong. Like if you level it up right and do it right. Meganium is very good. And yeah, just like Meganium's good. That's it. Like, I don't really have a lot of in-depth stuff to say. I mean, you look at it, you see it, that's what you get, and it's happy and see ya. Girafarig. So there's a couple of things I really like about Girafarig. One, giraffes are cool. Two, the idea of like the tail also having its own face, and it kind of has like it's a little bit of a mind of its own, is very fun. Like, this is obviously not just a giraffe, but the thing I like about Girafarig the most is the idea that this is a psychic giraffe that sees into the future. Its defining attack is future sight. The thing where it's a big psychic attack that it foresees in the future. Is it future sight? Man, I feel like I'm combining a bunch of stuff in my head now. But I like the patterns. I like the design of the Pokemon. I like its combat moves. Obviously, I was very excited that this got an evolution in Scarlet and Violet. Girafarig is great, and yeah, giraffes are cool. I forgot I added that in here. So Wobbuffet, there's so many things to say about Wobbuffet. So for starters, the big blue thing, not actually the Pokemon. Wobbuffet is the little tail, and the big blue thing is a decoy, which that is such a brilliant, genius thing that is so great. The other thing about Wobbuffet is just its role in the TV show. That is what has made Wobbuffet rank highly. I love Wobbuffet just interrupting Team Rocket at all of the best times. I mean, here, we're gonna do this again. Oh, it doesn't trigger it again? Oh. Yeah, there we go. See, it interrupted me. And so, yeah, Wobbuffet is so fantastic for its addition to Team Rocket in just being a very unique and cool and fun design, both mechanically, aesthetically, how the two are combined. Wobbuffet's great. Raikou. So this is the first legendary Pokemon that we're talking about for this generation. One of the 3 legendary dogs, and Raikou is pretty good. I like the storm cloud sort of. I don't know. I'm gonna call that a cape, even though it's not. But we're gonna call that a cape here. I like the so the I don't know, whiskers. There's a lot of things to talk about here. The like whiskers, whatever we're gonna call them on the face, do kind of remind me of like. Yeah, we'll say Mermaid Man and SpongeBob, which is not probably a great thing for a Pokemon to remind me of, but there's so many great things about it. I love the purple on the yellow. I love the electric design. It's very unique. It has a very identifiable silhouette, which is great for a legendary. And it's I really like all of these dogs, but Raikou is very cool for sure. I also like that the tail is like an electric thing sparking. It's cool. Phanpy. So I talked about with the bigger Pokemon is You don't know this. I'm recording this late at night. Maybe I should have done this sooner. But so Phanpy is great. I love elephants, and this is the littlest elephant you're ever gonna meet in your life. I especially love baby elephants. And man, this elephant is baby. And Donphan, that's what I was trying to think of. So it still gets to do the rolling around. It still gets to play in the dirt, but it's just like having a good time, and it wants to love you and be your friend, and I want to love it and be its friend, you know? Love this Pokemon. Misdreavus. So my favorite type of Pokemon is Ghost Pokemon. And so getting something different than Gengar, which I love Gengar, I rank that very highly, and I like Gengar more than Misdreavus, for the record. But getting something different was very exciting, and I really like the like almost ghost floating sheet thing going on here. I like that a lot. I like that it actually has some pretty fluid features that are like wispy and flowing and less defined, and very, very ominous in that regard. And Misdreavus is very cool. Typhlosion. So again, this was the starter I picked. It's man, this thing is great. I love how the flames have moved up through to where they're at on its neck. A big upgrade over Quilava, and I already liked Quilava. This thing is super strong. It's gonna hit you. Interestingly, remember in these games that the 2D games, you see a front sprite from your opponent, you see a back sprite for you. You don't see your own front sprite. So the back of Typhlosion is very cool to look at, and that cannot be understated for how important that is to me on this Pokemon, because I spent a lot of time looking at it, you know? And I think it's just really great. Like even how the like darker color palette kind of disconnects as it gets down to a tail, almost making it look like it's a cloak. There's so many, the design is not complex, but it works so well, and it's really good. Entei. So this is another legendary Pokemon. This one was part of its own movie, which to be honest, the whole Entei part of the movie, did not care. Not even the slightest. The other parts of the movie were what were interesting to me. But Entei is a cool Pokemon. I love the like handlebar mustache. I like fire Pokemon. All of these legendary dogs are great. And Entei is like, I feel like kind of the leader of them. It's not the best one, but I feel like it's in charge, and I don't know why entirely. Maybe it's just because they got that movie first, but yeah, Entei. Ho-Oh! This is the cover Pokemon for Gold, and Gold is the Pokemon game for this generation that I played. And so I, of course, had Ho-Oh, and it's very cool. I like its importance to the story in the anime. Obviously, we see Ho-Oh way before we get these games, and Ash sees it on his first day on his journey, and it flies over, and it's really cool, very pretty. This art doesn't do it justice. The video game doesn't do it justice. The motion rainbow appearance of it is very good. It's super great, iconic, really, and Ho-Oh is so great for all of that. But it just takes us so long to actually get any kind of payoff for that. It's like it happens and then they just forget for years. But yeah, Ho-Oh is cool. Delibird. This might seem weird to people, but I love Delibird. Just the idea of like, this is like Santa Claus Pokemon, and it's got a big sack of gifts, and it's giving out gifts, but guess what? They're bombs. And like the attack present is like, here's a present, it's a bomb. And it's like, man, talk about getting coal. Like, I don't know, just Delibird is so great. And also like it's like kind of fat. Like look how its body just becomes the feet. There's no legs. And then how it turns wings into arms. It flies, it delivers stuff. That's a thing where it pops up time and time again in the course of the franchise, where I love when Pokemon do a thing in the world building. They're not just animals, they are doing things in society, and Delibirds do things in society. They deliver stuff, just like mail and presents and packages, and Delibirds are very important for that. And man, Delibird's so great. And the name, just delivery bird, like it's right there. It's awesome. Miltank. So this is a cow, and it's a cow. And, cows are great. Obviously it's, there's a little bit of some differences. Obviously you don't really see pink cows out in the world, and the tail's a bit different, and I don't think these are furry. But yeah, it's great. The gym leader Whitney has a Miltank that'll rock your world if you're not ready for it. And Moo Moo Milk is very funny. And man, cows just go moo and go moo do 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 do. I'm not gonna sing the rest of that song. It doesn't seem appropriate for Pokemon. But Miltank is appropriate for everybody. Togetic. So Togepi evolves into this. Togetic is way cooler than Togepi. So it's like an angel, angelic Pokemon that is very cool and does a lot of fun stuff, and it's I think really good. This is another one that's like, you look at that, kind of like Ampharos, right? It's like, that's a Pokemon, and this is them figuring out their identity and what a Pokemon should be. Although it also like in this art, I'll admit, it kind of looks like Snoopy. Like this is a Peanuts character. but Togetic is very good. Suicune. This is the highest ranked legendary dog. And so basically the thing I like about Suicune, one, this is the cover of Pokemon Crystal, which is the like revamped version of Gold and Silver, and that alone is very cool. But two, I really like the ribbons. I think it has the best silhouette of them. I love the color palette. I love it's very serious, it's very hardcore, it's very strong. I love the ice diamond pattern. I love so much about Suicune. It's terrific. It's really good. Umbreon. Oh, this is great Umbreon art. So this is the other new Eevee evolution, obviously, and it's funny that this art is like in the day, but it although I guess he's sleeping, he's a nighttime little guy, and yeah, you evolve into Umbreon by being really good friends with your Eevee and leveling it up at nighttime, and it's a dark Pokemon. It is probably the best dark Pokemon. It's really, really good. I love Umbreon so much. It's not my favorite evolution, but it is for sure up there. Unknown is a very weird and interesting and cool thing they did that they are, I feel like, afraid to touch again. So obviously you can kind of see here, these are fridge magnets, by the way. Those are super cool. But so Unknown, they look like different letters and punctuation and stuff, and so each one looks different, but they're all unknown. And so there's a lot of kooky, weird, fun stuff about them, especially in the movie they're in with Entei. And I love the ruins of Alpha. It's the zone that you find them in, so it's like the alphabet and like ruins. It's just very on the nose, but very fun. They are very cool and like create a unique aesthetic to various parts of the world for Pokemon that are very memorable. And yeah, I don't know, they're just really cool. That's all I got. I like that. I mean, look at that bottom right one. It's a question mark. Isn't that sweet? Hitmontop. So there is another evolution as opposed to Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, which I love both of those. Hitmontop, very cool, very different, very fun. I love it spinning on its head. It is a top, right? And so like it just like sticks its legs out to pummel people while it spins. Its head can hit people. It's just super fun, and yeah, that's it. It's just so fun. Like, I love when a Pokemon can just be silly and fun and have this weird gimmick, not only mechanically, but also thematically, and this just nails it. Smeargle, speaking of a weird mechanic, mechanically and thematically, Smeargle is a Pokemon that cares about painting. It cares about doing art. It'll basically look at something, copy it, and do it. And so and I love that it's got like a little beret hat. It's great, and its tail is a paintbrush. Mechanically, though, Smeargle is one of the most interesting Pokemon ever made. Basically, you can have it. It has one move, and you use that move, and it learns the last move used by an opposing Pokemon. So you use that, and it'll learn that, but then that just becomes one of its moves. So you only get 4 moves at a time, so you can craft your Smeargle to use basically any combination of moves in the game, and you can do things that you, generally speaking, probably should not be able to do all with the same Pokemon. Now, it is a little balanced that its stats are not very good, but that's okay because it does so many cool, fun stuff, and it's so fun to experiment with and really tinker with and kind of theory craft and think differently about a lot of things. Smeargle is one of the coolest Pokemon ever made as far as fighting and trying to build teams and think critically about what you want to be doing, because it is the greatest toolbox that they've ever made in Pokemon, and I love it for that. Lugia. This is, of course, the star of the Pokemon movie 2000. It's my favorite. Lugia is not my favorite legendary Pokemon, but it is my favorite Pokemon movie. There's so many great things about that movie. I love the... I love all of the stuff going on there. I was gonna insert the music for it, and then I remembered that the other music's going too late now. But the Guardian of the Sea is so cool, so ominous, so powerful. It's of course the cover Pokemon to Silver. As much as I actually prefer Gold in Ho-Oh as far as what it does as a Pokemon, the movie is way too cool for me to not put Lugia well above Ho-Oh. And it's so great. Just pretty much the movie rocks, and you're gonna see a little more of that in a second. And yeah, terrific. Lugia is terrific. Love everything about Lugia, and also just the idea that like it is underwater, but it flies, and like the wing like hands almost. They're cool. Celebi. So I mentioned Lugia is not my favorite legendary Pokemon. Celebi might be my favorite legendary Pokemon. It's really up there. I love things that care about time and time travel and weird kooky things with that. And the Celebi movie is also, it's not my favorite Pokemon movie because that's Pokemon 2000, but the Celebi one is my second favorite Pokemon movie. And I love the whole time travel story with that, and about Ash meeting young Professor Oak, and the revelation at the end that it is Professor Oak, and man, it's so cool. And Celebi is so great, and I love the forest that Celebi like you interact with in different games. It's so sweet. Celebi's awesome.
I could use pants.
So yeah, Slowking is number 1. And that line you just heard is almost entirely the reason. So I've talked about over and over my love for the Pokemon movie 2000, and Slowking is a major supporting character in there. He kind of pushes Ash to go and fight after the initial conflict. He finds Ash. Basically, there's this prophecy, and Slowking has been looking over the islands that have Moltres and Zapdos and Articuno, and then being kind of the Sea Guardian, Lugia, kind of uniting them with these islands. And there's this prophecy that Slowking kind of watches over and protects and things. And Ash comes along, and he is the person in the prophecy. And the Slowking is so great. It talks, which most Slowkings don't, but this one does. And yeah, there's a scene where it goes out, and normally it's tropical, but because of the conflict of the movie, it's all snowy and stuff. And he goes out and he's standing out there, and he's just I could use some pants. And that to me, when I was 6, 7 years old, was the funniest thing in the world. And I love Slowking ever since then. I also just love, even not that one, right? Like obviously the Slowking that talks in the movie is big, but just other Slowkings. The idea that this is normally a Pokemon Slowpoke, Slowbro that are defined by their stupidity. That Slowking, in this evolution, has found intelligence and is actually very intelligent, even the ones that can't talk. Very intelligent, very smart. They are the leaders for a reason. They are, it's so great getting that all turned on its head, because the thing that bit them and made them like strong, it now has moved up to its head, and it wears it like a crown. And yeah, so many great things about Slowking. Yeah, terrific. So thank you so much if you stuck through all of that. There is still some more Pokemon to come in the next weeks as I wrap up the rankings of my 366 favorite video games of all time. But until then, you can of course check out other videos. I've got a lot of Pokemon content by now, and yeah. If you liked these rankings, make sure to check out the other ones. Give me a subscribe if you want to see the ones coming up. But yeah, thank you so much. You have a great rest of your day. Bye.